One of my friends mentioned experience versus wisdom. It's an interesting point. That wisdom can be derived from having knowing about something but not actually having experienced it. Right? I think it's very true. But I had said basically you've got to keep in mind though also you have all these variations off of the one statement of wisdom can be derived without having to actually experience something but just having kind of an awareness of it. And I thought, like, well, how is that really possible? Because it makes sense when you say it, because it sounds smart. When you think about it, there's so many things in our lives that we identify with other people simply based off of the fact that they talk to us and they know these little buzzwords, and they're not even buzzwords. They're more like a shared experience. They must have shared the same experience with me because nobody would have said it that way unless they were there. You hear people say that all the time. And that's definitely true. Now, it depends on the experience. I mean, if we're talking about, you must have been on a championship baseball team because no one would have said that unless they were there. Okay, but there's a lot of championship baseball teams. You know what I mean? Like, so then you get into the whole, he must have been to the Super Bowl, or he must have been in space and been on the planet Mars. Why? Because no one who was at Mars would ever have said it any differently than that. Okay? See, I wouldn't know what they mean by that. That's something I could say I have not had happening with me. Like, the red light, man, the red sands. Why do you call it the red sands? Anyone who's there knows about the red sand. So you can fake it all you want. But I'm not going to play the role and pretend like I was there because I just don't, you get into a whole dangerous territory when you do that. And a lot of people do that. Or actually, I think a lot of people fall into assuming they really know. This is something that's been said before too. Is that, one of the greatest shocks is it's almost like another definition gets added in the dictionary. People act like they know. And they probably do know, but then when they see something happen that involves that thing, they realize they don't know. It's like the whole white gangster thing in the San Fernando Valley. When, NWA it comes out, people weren't buying that album. 80% of the album was white kids buying it in suburbia. But not in the Midwest yet, and not in New York yet. That's why you had that whole differentiation between East Coast and West Coast hip-hop. No one, that's what's so funny, no one on the West Coast thought, oh, we created rap here. No, what they were saying is gangster rap. That, which then goes over to the East Coast. Then everyone goes from like kind of, breakdancing and graffiti into they're all criminals and thugs. Now, I don't think that's the truth where that actually started only happening there because the fact is, the crime and all that started in New York, which then spurred hip-hop. But the whole gangster thing, which was a huge element of hip-hop, started in the West Coast. And then it spread into white suburbia first. So you had kids everywhere who thought they were gangsters. And they found out the hard way that they thought they were gangsters, and then they ran into some real gangsters. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's one of those trials by fire. I've had that before, definitely. And so it's fucked up, because then what happens is you go to a level of not realizing, damn, you're with a real gang. Where you're hanging out with people who, shit, my friend killed someone tonight. I can't tell my mom. It's such an awkward position to be in. And then you run into like that middle ground where now you're the guy who, it's so funny, Don's breaking up fights. He used to be the one who got into them, and now he's trying to break them up. He's such a hypocrite. But you'll see that guy at every party. The guy that's like tattooed and got like a sniper's crosshairs on his forehead tattooed. And he's in there being a cop and breaking up all the fights and everything. But he's also not 18. He's probably going to be 40 or something. So you have shared experiences resulting in this ultimate wisdom that isn't directly connected to the experience that they went through, but it kind of like marinates and kind of like ripens that way. And, I was also mentioning, you got to keep in mind, one of the things that they're kind of pushing these days is like, even if you want to look at the Bible and say it was kind of a good book, kind of a bestseller, but it's all impossible shit. And I'm like, I can't say that. There's too many things that people were identifying with. We've had too many events recently that seem to be echoing the biblical story, but people are like, well, that was prophecy. Okay, well then the prophecy of it was right. But are you saying that the Bible was untouched, that no one manipulated that? I know someone manipulated it. I know someone changed it, because I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not trying to push any one way or the other. I'm just giving you my experiences. Someone was showing me, when you cross-reference the Old Testament to the New Testament in Acts, in certain chapters and things like that are in the Old Testament, it's the exact same thing, but it's written in a different way. It's a different metaphor. In other words, there are elements of the Old Testament that almost word for word, except they changed the words. Instead of saying, and in the grassy field the dove shall fall from the sky. Okay, then in the New Testament, and like among the grains of wheat, the eagle shall fall from the heavens. You know, and it's like the same exact number when you cross-reference it. Like, wait, this is Acts 1:12. You know, like and I was like, God damn, that's crazy. But then they added all this extra stuff, and it's weird because when people start reading the New Testament to me, like I went to church about a month ago, and the priest started giving this whole thing, and I'm like, what in the fuck is he talking about? I'm like, I don't remember that. Now I'm being all snobby because I'm thinking, oh, well, wait a second, he's probably reading it from the New Testament. But I didn't know that until what? Until what he was saying just sounded like unrealistic. It sounded kind of greedy and selfish. I don't think the Bible was teaching that. Well, the New Testament has. And that's what we're going through right now. We're going through another evolving, you know, it was a prophecy, but it's kind of like history is repeating itself. Where, you know, you have the mindset of the Obama generation, the Gen Xers, who give more to charity than anyone else and this and that, but they're not about money. They're not materialistic. Now we shifted. And it was such a big shift. Remember they talked about the poll shift coming? Okay, so when all of a sudden Trump won, Hillary lost, exactly. Now you're understanding, that's what they meant by poll shift. Those people were geniuses. Thank you. Thank you. I don't want to talk myself, but you guys do it for me because I know that's what you say. But what happens is Donald Trump didn't come up with the idea for the poll shift. Donald Trump erasing his name, tearing up contracts, rewriting the contract exactly the same, and putting his name on it. No, he's done that many times, and he doesn't know what we're talking about. That's demonic. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's not even like he's an evil guy as much as like they erased his goddamn memory. It's really weird. But no, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things like that. In fact, I can show you right now. Go look at what happened on 11/9 of 2011. I remember it very vividly. You probably don't. And Obama gave an emergency broadcast. Remember that emergency broadcasting, but it didn't go well. Like the TV stations weren't in line with what he was saying. And so he gave an emergency broadcast for the country on that day. What was so astonishing was we were panicky as doom and gloom conspiracy theorists because that was the day that the comet El Niño, which means 11/9, exactly. It didn't hit Earth until apparently 2016, but nonetheless, the end of the world didn't come yet. We thought it was. Maybe that consciousness created that. I don't know. But it came closest to the Earth, according to NASA. And they told us this a year before. When does it come close to Earth? On November 9th of 2011. Okay? And then we were like, wait, Obama's giving an emergency speech about the planet in case there's a disaster on that day? Oh my God, it's like 9/11. See, El Niño. And then El Niño was derived from the astronomer. There really is an astronomer named El Niño. Elenine. So we're like, this is just too bizarre. And there was all these other weird coincidences. And we're like, it's the end of the world. You know, and then it passes closest to Earth on the day Obama gives a disaster declaration as a practice drill on all the TVs and radios. But it fell apart. It didn't work. Okay, the second year Trump was in office, he did the same exact thing on the same exact date. And that functioned right. Yeah, so everyone's going to remember that. They don't remember unless they go on YouTube, and they'll erase those too. They're erasing all that shit. They're trying to erase the past. And you point it out to them, and they're oblivious to it. You realize, oh, that's a demon. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And so, in a sense, it's a terrifying thing to have to witness that. And I see this happening with everyone I know. I mean, I've mentioned the mind wipe and all that it's age regression or something like that. I'll talk to someone, and I can tell by the tone of their voice, they've gone back to being a kid. And then I'll start mentioning, like, don't you remember, like, you're not some idiot. Like, in 2005, I was with you when you got shot. And said, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, no, look, here's the pictures. What did you, like, Photoshop those? Like, I don't understand. How was I with you in an emergency room with blood on me? And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, eternal sunshine on the spotless mind. Now, that I don't even inquire about the past anymore, which is, I think, the goal of the demon. Because God wouldn't do that. Because your experience is like your resume. And I'm telling you right now, if you came and wanted to get a job from me, I would not erase your college degree on your resume and be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not on this paperwork. Well, no, I went to college. I swear to God. Well, it's too bad. That's in the past. But no. And what is that? What does your college degree have to do with you working here? You're at Burger King. I don't care if you have a master's degree in engineering. You know? Then you'll know what I felt. Yeah, it's so you got to be really cautious about who you talk shit to. Because you don't really know what they know. And this is something that terrified me, too. So I try to, ask them what they know. And then they say, well, we don't need to tell you. And I realize, okay. And then finally they start giving up, some language that's like, well, I know you don't know what's up. Why? Because you wouldn't be saying that word if you knew what was up. What does that mean? I wouldn't use the N word if you knew what was up. Like up there. What? Never mind. So you can only try your best. But it becomes sort of ridiculous or sort of ignorant. I hate to say that word. Well, then again, it's connected to, the other thing. When you realize, maybe, we haven't been this great to another race or something like that. Maybe it is something genetically wrong with us that we need to work on. Because it does seem like it's not just they're lazy or that they want to steal our jobs because, all the really rich white people, they keep moving their jobs over to the other country. And then we blame these people. It's like really weird. Like, weren't these people here also when we started this country? And they, I heard about the slave thing, but maybe that's a lie. Maybe they just made that up. They weren't slaves. No, of course not. We would never do that, right? And when you forget about that and you realize, damn, I'm black, like, and I should have gotten that job, but I didn't because that white kid Don did, then you'll have an experience and shared experience with what it was like to be black, but not be black. You know what I mean? No, seriously, you know what I mean, right? No, I'm saying, have you ever been, do you know what I mean? You better say yeah, just say yes, because they're going to hear you if you don't know what I mean. Because I know exactly what I mean. And they do too.